Hello and welcome to Cheap Homes. So I'm gonna finish my story about at least get through the Torrington Y. So anyway, I was there for a few days, and I didn't know how to eat like on a empty or eat sleep on an empty stomach. So um, I wouldn't wake up. The soup kitchen opened at 3 o'clock. I'd never be able to wake up um, for the soup kitchen. So I was starving. I was hungry. So I called my father up, and he came up, and the bastard, he brought me a grocery bag full of Lipton cup of soups, those powder things, the mixes you got to put in hot water. And I says, well, I don't even have a cup. So I went down to the car, brought me up a coffee cup. So from there, I started uh, taking the Lipton cup of soups, and I put it in the coffee cup, and I run the water, the hot water out of the bathroom, and ate that for a couple days. But over there down the hall, there was a guy. He always had his door open, and he started watching me walk back and forth with this coffee cup filling the water, and just, hey, what's up? And so I started talking to him. The guy's name was Phil. He was like, probably his late 40s, early 50s, and he had just gotten out of, well, I don't know, it wasn't just. He'd been out 2 years, I think, but at a summer's prison for trafficking cocaine. I started talking to him. He's like, hey, why don't you come back at 7 o'clock? So I come back at 7 o'clock, and the girls upstairs, they all had a job at the grocery store. And they cooked them a steak like every night. So he gave me some of his steak. I met the girls, and they're like, well, we'll cook you one tomorrow, too. So that became kind of a thing. I was going over there, the girls are cooking a steak, blah, blah, blah. So now at least I'm not hungry anymore. I have a place to sleep. So I remember one day I'm walking around the building, or the neighborhood, the block, and I was like, well, what do I do next? Like, oh yeah, that's right, get a job. At that time, by then I had worked in a deli in Westport called Premier Market for 10 years. And I always got it. I got that job, and I worked at a farm before that. Basically, I just went in and asked, like, I'm looking for work. I have a job. So that's what I did. There was this. I looked to my left, and there's this like junk store with all these old antiques. Like, so I went in there, and I says, I'm looking for work. Um, I was wondering if you're hiring. And the guy behind the counter, he says, you're not from here. No. He says, well, where do you live? I says, I live at the Torrington Y. He says, get out of my store. I was like, okay. So it's like, well, you don't get a job if you live at the Torrington YMCA. That was my ultimate conclusion, which was kind of stupid. I thought, well, maybe I should go to a deli because I know how to work at a deli. But I didn't. So I guess it was about a couple days later, I did some brainstorming. I remembered I had a car still at my parents' house, a 79 Chevy Malibu. I thought, Phil's from Bridgeport. He used to traffic cocaine. So I went to Phil and I said, how about I go down, I get the stuff, and you Sorry, the old Patty's disturbing me here. You, I use your connections and then I'll sell it and I'll give you some of the money. He said, get out of my room. And from there on out, the door was shut for a few days. And eventually it opened up a little bit. We sort of mended ways a little bit, but not really. Me and Phil were kind of, I was a threat to Phil's freedom. And I didn't do any of that stuff. But I started going to this mental health clinic, and I just wanted out of the Torrington Y. So uh, I like blew up at this group therapy thing I was going to, and they're gonna. Well, what did they do? They they put me in some kind of. See, I think they sent me to Bacchus Hospital, and did they send me to Bacchus Hospital? I don't remember, but I think I got committed somewhere, and I don't know where I went. But uh, actually, I think I got committed to Silver Hill. Yeah. And then from there, I moved to Arizona, a halfway house. I was there for about a week. And then I moved to Tempe, started going to school. And then everything was all right. I was taking like 3 classes. I only took the classes that you could buy the notes for in the library, so I never went to class. I just went to the bookstore, and they sold the notes in the bookstore, and took them home, studied. I think I failed. I took 2 classes. I failed one, and I got a C on the other. I think that's what happened. But anyway, so I wound up coming back to Connecticut, which was like a huge mistake. I came back because I heard about the hot summer in Arizona. Down there, I had a job. I was doing telemarketing for a company called TMI. And things weren't great, but should have stayed there. Actually, the idea of going back there came back like 20 years later. uh, Things were okay there. Let's go back to Arizona. So anyway, I ended up coming back to Connecticut, and I don't know exactly how it happened, but I was in the ER, and I wound up. This was kind of a turning point in my life. Um, they weren't letting me leave the ER, and I jetted. I made a beeline for the door, the Nora Hospital ER, and there was like 5 or 6. I don't know what they were. Paramedics, security guards, picked me up, threw me down on this bed, and they tied me to this bed for 12 hours. And I remember I was rocking the bed so much, it was like a gurney. I broke one of the wheels off of it, so it would like it would fall over if I leaned that way. But anyway, why I say that was a turning point is, I didn't. I came from like I guess an Irish hands-on household, where there was a lot of fighting and smacking, but all that I had put behind me. At least through high school, I never got into a fist fight with anyone. But um, realized that, okay, I mean, I perceived it as an act of violence towards me, which it kind of was. I was like, okay, this is the way the language these people speak. I know how to speak this language, which kind of opened up Pandora's box for me. But they set me up to a place called Fairfield Hills, which is a massive state hospital up in Newtown, Connecticut, which is now closed. And I'll get to the story of Fairfield Hills next. Things seem to be sort of escalating, getting worse and worse. Not only me, but my environment. So we'll be off to Fairfield Hills next. Thanks. Bye bye.